Hey, just a quick reminder that all of our games and polls are now officially open for business out at forballers.com. Pick the over or under for every Power 4 team, play in our Pick'em game to be in our board of trustees, and vote every week, Dan, in our Verballer Top 12.
Yeah, you also get bonus episodes, ad-free episodes, access to our Discord, and a bunch of other perks. Check it all out, verballers.com. Can't wait to see you.
Welcome to the Solid Verbal. And now, Dan and Ty.
Dan Rubenstein, by this time next week, we will actually be talking about game results. Can you believe it? It's finally here.
I can't believe it's coming up this quickly. So this is our show previewing our predictions for the season before the season is coming up shortly. And so you have it down on our document that this is our pre-coming episode, which honestly, my Google Doc flagged as something, but I think we just roll with it, Ty. I think good for you. And, I'm very excited for the season.
The episode actually is titled, within this Google document, 2026 Playoff Prediction Episode. It is officially game week. Week 0 will be here in just a matter of days.
Yeah.
There is one preview show that we have left to do. That is our official playoff
Ivy
and
League.
national championship. No, we're not doing Ivy League.
Patriot League.
I did not dig in on any of that stuff. This is the big tamale right here.
Yeah, it is.
We've got our playoff predictions. We've got our national championship predictions. Go back and listen to any of the preview episodes that we dropped on the feed over the last month and a half or so. We started back on July the 7th with sort of like an intro to the 2026 season. We did the G6 conferences. We did the ACC, Big 12, Big 10, SEC, three-parters for all those power conferences to get you up to speed, first with contender tiers and who we're picking in each conference, and then we drilled down to individual teams. So we would encourage everybody to go and check that out as you get yourself prepared for the football that is ahead.
Yes. I enjoyed our Fantasy Things episode immensely. I thought that was a great time. Our preview episodes were terrific. We have more than ever gotten YouTube comments like, yeah, they did okay. More than ever. So
which I'll take that.
It is the best endorsement we have ever received from an anonymous commenter to say like, yeah, this was all right. This was an okay look. I've been dining out on that for weeks now, Ty. So yes, Preview season was terrific. And as I've told people, because I'm sure you get this question a lot or this comment a lot in your, Ty's a very social person. Ty has a lot of friends. Ty has a lot of obligations out and about. But there is a lot of conversations that are like, oh, but this is, work's probably real ramping up for you right now, right? Huh?
I got it twice this weekend. Yeah.
I get it twice an hour. And the sort of return response that I have for people is, yeah, preview season's a lot like studying for and taking a midterm every day.
That's exactly right.
And all we do is live in college football all year long. But when it comes down to preview season, you're like, wait, who's playing linebacker for Iowa State? What exactly is new on Texas Tech's offense? So that's the sort of fun of it, right? That like there is so much novel, and I know people complain about it, but preview season is great for that reason, that you get to get re-energized all over again with all of the off-season stuff, with all the portal stuff, with all the moving pieces. And so check out your chosen conference, your chosen team, whatever, your preview. There's a lot there. Cannot wait to throw all of the previews away and get going with real-ass football.
To paraphrase the great prophet Jake Taylor, there is only one show left to do, and that's for us to talk about who's going to win the whole effing thing.
I love
that
we've agreed our references are going to like end around 1996. 97. Okay, continue.
We're still working through it.
Yeah.
Still working that calculus.
Yeah.
We've got a 12-team field that we have probably hinted at multiple times over the course of our preview episodes, but we have yet to actually put it out here into the ether. Everyone else is doing it. Everyone else beat us to the punch at this point. I feel like I've seen a million of these floating around across social media and my podcast feeds and whatnot, but we typically wait until the very end to drop this to the feed. So here we are.
Yes.
Over the next hour or so, we're going to talk through who each of us has in our brackets, who are the first handful of teams out, what we see the playoff looking like in terms of results, who is making it through, what are the toughest pathways and whatnot. And of course, we will talk through who we think is going to win the national championship, Dan Rubenstein. So,
Yes.
Let me ask you this, okay? How did you feel about this exercise as a whole?
Oh, hated it. But that's just because I forget most of what I said during the preview episodes. I'm like, wait, who did I have? I had Houston winning the Big 12, and then you can't go back on it. But as you know, one of my central life priorities is reminding people that I reserve the right to change my mind at any given moment for any given reason.
That's right.
So
That's right.
I'm sticking with Houston, by the way, to win the Big 12. That, like, if you stick your neck out, if you plant your flag, what do we call it? Zagriculture?
The Zag flag, yeah.
The Zag flag, yes. So, I actually really do like this exercise, and it's random, and we're accountable. You can pull back a clip of anything we say on this episode come November or December, and I don't think any of the advertising agreements will go away because we had Indiana as a 2 seed or a 6 seed or an 11 seed. And if you want to start a campaign to say you shouldn't advertise or become a paid subscriber because
what are we doing here? What are you doing here?
Listen to me.
Why are we giving people these ideas?
Hold on.
What is this?
I'm saying if you are going to start a campaign to say you shouldn't support the Solid Verbal because Ty had Miami as like the 8th seed and they were the number 1 team in the country in the final college football playoff poll, I say that might be great for the attention and spotlight on this show. Like, if you're going to start the campaign, make it like super loud in public to draw as much attention to the show as humanly possible. That's great by us. So really highlight how wrong we are and make sure you send it out to everybody and you just tell people and send them to...
What are we doing here?
I don't know.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, we're going to post all this stuff so people will be able to find it after the fact.
Yes.
I did go back to look and see how we fared last year.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, more to the point of this being kind of a useless exercise. Fun, but useless.
Yeah.
You had 6 of the 12 teams correct in your bracket.
Oh, who knew?
I had 5 of the 12
Take it.
correct in my bracket. So it's a very difficult exercise. And when I say 5 of the 12, 6 of the 12, I am not talking about, teams being in there, but being in the wrong spot or anything.
Right.
I am saying I had 7 teams in my 12-team bracket that were nowhere to be found in the playoff, and you had 6.
Right. Well,
so
your
it's a very difficult exercise.
Remind the people who your national championship featured last season.
I think Penn State over Clemson.
Yeah.
They did play, just not in, championship game.
I think that's a perfect prediction that Ty nailed the postseason matchup of Clemson-Penn State. That was perfect.
Sort of.
You are always going to be a legit aligned with the Pinstripe Bowl, whether you love it or not.
Dan Rubenstein, why don't we start here?
Okay.
We're not going to do seeding yet. I want to know the 12 teams that you have in this playoff field.
I do too. Okay. I guess I could do this in alphabetical order or something like that, but I'm not quick enough to do that on the fly. I have Georgia and Texas. I have Oregon, Miami, Houston, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Indiana, Oklahoma, Boise State, Alabama, Texas Tech, in no particular order. Was that 12?
I believe so.
Yeah. Did I say Ohio State? I think I did.
Yes.
Okay.
I have in mind from the ACC Miami, from the Big Ten, Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. I did not put a 4th team in. From the SEC, I've got Georgia, Texas, LSU, Alabama, and Texas A&M.
Okay.
From the Big 12, just Texas Tech. I've got Notre Dame in, and my G6 qualifier is New Mexico. I really struggled with the G6, and we can get into that in just a little bit. But those are my 12. My first handful of teams out that I really deliberated over: Oklahoma, Ole Miss, and USC. And then in addition, BYU.
Right.
And then obviously it was either New Mexico or Boise. I ended up going with New Mexico because I kind of like their schedule a little bit more. provided Jack Lane is healthy at quarterback. I think they've got the defense to make a run through the Mountain West. I did consider UNLV, but I didn't really want to back the horse that's got Jackson Arnold at quarterback.
Yep.
So I decided that we'll stick with New Mexico and Jason Eck since we're such Eck heads here. Who just missed out on yours?
So I have no particular order as well, but from a G6 perspective, strong consideration for New Mexico, UNLV, and Fresno State. Now, I know Fresno State's replacing key dudes, especially from that, I think they were like top 10, top 15-ish defense and points per drive allowed, especially along the edge. But for them to do what they did on defense last year with hopefully upgrading at quarterback because they had sort of mistake-prone and error-prone quarterback situation with E.J. Warner there last year. I think Fresno's going to be in that conversation deep. It's probably not going to be pretty against USC early, but otherwise, I kind of like Fresno as well.
Not to cut you off. I also considered Fresno.
Yeah.
And I think the reason that I opted to go New Mexico over Boise is because Fresno has kind of had Boise State's number
right
over these last couple of seasons. I believe they've got him at home this year. And so I could see a scenario in which, Boise's got an early loss to Oregon, maybe picks up another one along the way. There are some questions about that team, even though I think they'll be able to run the football.
Right.
But the game at Fresno, I believe it's at Fresno, should be another one of those tests. And I think Fresno's got the defense to contend with them.
Fresno is playing Boise on October 10th in the San Joaquin Valley in California. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay.
So, you want my others receiving Dan votes?
Yes, sir.
In the region?
Yes, sir, please.
In no particular order. I just have these teams as being in the conversation in, mid to late November. USC, Illinois, Michigan, LSU, Tennessee, Texas A&M, Fresno State, as mentioned, Virginia, Iowa, BYU. So that's like 13 through 21, somewhere in there. If you want me to, do you want me to narrow that down any more to like 3 or 4 teams?
So there are 2 things that I think are really worth discussing here because we both kind of ended up in the same spot. The first thing is going to be, at least from your side, having 2 Big 12 teams in, Houston and Texas Tech. No 5th SEC team, no 4th Big 10 team.
Right.
So essentially Texas Tech, based on the way you've drawn this up, gets the nod over a school from the Big 10, a school from the SEC. That's the first thing. The second I can speak to on my end, which was, what is the logic behind putting 5 SEC teams in? But how do you envision this playing out that you're going both Houston and Texas Tech over a team from, say, the SEC or the Big 10?
I don't know. Okay. I think Texas Tech will have depending on what happens with them at quarterback, because there's Thomas Castellanos is now in a conversation, allegedly, rumoredly, with Texas Tech. So Texas Tech to me is now more up in the air, weirdly, going into the season. So I guess it would be Texas Tech being largely dominant and maybe losing a rematch game against Houston. They play them relatively early on, right? Like week 3.
Right.
And losing a rematch in the Big 12 championship game and having, look, their non-conference resume is not going to be great. So I think we're going to look at teams beating each other up in the SEC. And I think we should take that into account that they're finally playing a 9th conference game. But I think Texas Tech's resume might be a little bit cleaner. Look, if you're judging a 12-1 type Texas Tech situation against a 9-3 SEC situation, you're going to really have to parse things out. But I think there are some simulations in which we could see this, and I don't know. This is where I landed.
Well, look, your guess is as good as mine. This is way early, and it's going to be difficult. Now, what I admire about your pick, and you did this last year, and you're planting your Zag flag again this year, Houston. Yes. Last year it was Ole Miss. Ole Miss made the Final Four. We can talk through how deep you have Houston going, if you have Houston making it out of the first round at all. But my sense from looking at your selections here is that Houston's that team for you in 2026.
Houston is the unexpected team. Honestly, I did toy with a second ACC team getting in, a team like, I didn't have them, my others receiving votes, but a team like SMU, just because my rubric has always been quarterback and defense. That has been my my qualifications. That's the bar to clear to me. And even though I didn't talk about SMU there, that's a team I considered in that conversation. Virginia's a team with their schedule. It's a pretty great schedule. I couldn't get there with Virginia because of quarterback. But I really do like their defense. I like their offensive line. And there were a couple of other teams that Illinois and Iowa and Texas A&M. There are teams that I felt like, clear that bar. But that was, I like to try and think about college football somewhat chaotically. And that's where Houston fell for me, because I think that they have the potential to have quarterback, defense, and schedule what we perceive to be a workable schedule in late August.
How close were you to putting in a fourth Big Ten team? How much deliberation went into that on your end?
Very close. I was considering USC and Michigan. I had Iowa as a dark horse, as making a lot of noise in the Big Ten. I couldn't get there with USC. I think they're going to be really, really good. I just don't think they're fully formed on both sides of the ball to the point where I felt great about them against their specific, again, what we perceive to be a pretty difficult stretch that you would have to get USC to 10-2, which is easier without Notre Dame on the schedule, of course. But I don't the number of teams that they have to figure out how to beat, both at home and on the road. And early on, it's nice for them to have those games at home. I couldn't get there even with as open as that championship window appears to be. I couldn't quite get there with what's new on both sides of the ball. Now losing their center.
You love the championship window thing.
I love the championship window. Championship window is open.
It's open, baby. Just open it up. We got to get a window opening sound. I don't even know what that is.
It's the opening Windows 98 chime or
well,
whatever.
I already used that for my window of opportunity.
I know, that's true.
I mean, there are other Windows sounds. I'll pull another one off somewhere. I'll find one for the championship window being open.
Or just the word open. We can come up with something with open. Yeah.
Open sesame. Yeah. We can come up with something.
Yeah.
I struggled with this. I really did. And USC was that team for me. I know in the previews I talked about Penn State and Michigan and, even Iowa to an extent. I feel like you can make a case. I think Iowa's going to be crazy interesting this year. Like, I'm really excited to see what they look like. But I couldn't get there with USC. It's just a schedule thing. Like, I agree with you. And frankly, you're the one who sold me on USC.
I think they're going to be really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, we did the preview, and I think we're both pretty high on them. We voted them pretty high in our AP poll. We like this team. It's just, unlike when you're ranking for the AP poll before the season, when we're doing this exercise, you actually need to consider schedule. And just the schedule, to me, it's, I don't know, too many landmines on there. An uncertain defense, albeit probably improved, hopefully improved under Gary Patterson. But I'm only on with 3 teams in the Big Ten, not 4: Oregon, Ohio State, and Indiana. The real calculus for me, though, was trying to figure out who I wanted from the SEC. And like we had agreed when we did the preview that we both like Georgia and Texas to make, in all likelihood, that SEC title game.
Yeah.
We did differ, I think, pretty significantly with regard to LSU. Like, I'm much higher on LSU than you are.
Yep.
Which is why I have them in here. We both agreed on Alabama making it in. But that 5th SEC team for me, man, that was a slog trying to figure out who I wanted in there. I kept going back and forth between Texas A&M, Oklahoma, and Ole Miss. And I can make a case for all of them. I think A&M's got a little bit of an easier schedule. And it just feels to me like we've at least seen the offensive output on the A&M side as compared to the Oklahoma side, which is still sort of developing.
Totally agree.
We'll see if they can run the ball. But that to me, I gave a slight nod to Texas A&M, even though there's some questions about their offensive line. And the Ole Miss thing, I agree with what you said when we did our previews about Ole Miss, that they're being overlooked. They're being overlooked to an extent because there's a lot new, especially on the coaching staff, right? And just the situation that they find themselves in now is fundamentally different, even though there are plenty of good players and they had the number 2 overall portal class.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reason to like Ole Miss. But I cannot get past that feeling that I think I gave voice to when we talked about Ole Miss specifically. I'm not ready to just sort of rubber stamp Pete Golding as the dude.
Sure.
As the coach who can lead them through a full SEC slate and get them back into the playoffs. He did admirably in last year's playoff, for sure. And if that's any indication, I'm dead wrong. I'll take that.
The counterpoint, which I think is right, by the way, the counterpoint is like you have to rubber stamp something kind of sight unseen.
Well, yeah, that's the whole point of this, right?
But I'm especially with like the mess of SEC teams that are kind of 1B, 1C, or 2A, whatever in this conference, that you're rubber stamping like Texas A&M against a more difficult schedule with a bunch of losses up front along the offense, whatever it is that like you're saying like, yeah, you may not believe in Pete Golding, but then you have to make the case that like, I believe without a ton of evidence that Oklahoma's offense is going to be, significantly better, that kind of stuff.
So it's like, if those are my three options, at least the way that I drew this up, I've got Mike Elko, a quarterback I feel I can trust in, an offense that is probably not going to put it all on him, and they're going to want to run the ball. Just feels like it's a little bit more of a stable situation than Oklahoma, which is going to be great on defense, but offense is kind of a shrug.
Right.
And Ole Miss, which is turning over the coaching staff and kind of, starting from square one, at least on a couple fronts. So it's not a strong case to be made one side or the other, but I opted for Texas A&M. So those are my 4 or 5 teams, I guess, in the SEC. I had Georgia, Texas, LSU, Alabama, and Texas A&M.
And we both have Alabama, and I don't think either one of us feel like incredible about it.
I do.
Do you?
I really like Alabama.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I think Keelan Russell is going to be an absolute superstar.
Okay.
I think he is the real deal. And so, provided they get that version of Keelan Russell, the version that's in my head, and get something of a ground game going, as we know, that was sort of an emphasis in the offseason here. If saying if a lot here.
Yeah, of course.
With all of those qualifiers in mind, that's why I've got Alabama here, because I do think it could be a really nice season for them if Keelan Russell's as good as I think, and if the ground game is just, present in a way that it wasn't a year ago.
Yeah, essentially, if you were to tell me, or if you were to broadcast to the world that Alabama is definitely good, but maybe not great this season, 10-2 seems totally within reason.
1,000%.
They've got a coach who wins with good teams, with flawed teams, wins close games, maybe has not produced a complete team or whatever, but like seems to figure out ways to eke out ground balls when they need to. So you have that. You have what we believe to be the high ceiling at quarterback, that there looks to be explosion in the skill positions, that there is star power on this defensive roster, though still questions up front, I would say, and especially at linebacker with some new faces or new full-time faces. There are questions that lead you to believe that there is good reason to believe. There's reason to believe that there's good reason to believe. Come on, Dan. Do better than that. There's reason to believe that this team can be legit good, but perhaps not bulletproof, excellent, lightning in a bottle kind of thing. If that's the case, 10-2 seems like it's a really tough November into early November, but they're playing against teams that have like pretty sizable questions themselves outside of the Georgia game, but the Georgia game is in Tuscaloosa, yes?
Correct.
So, I don't know. I'm there with Alabama. I don't love it, but I don't think it's a terribly difficult case to make.
I'm going to read through your seating, okay?
Please.
We do have a bracket here. I don't know if you're able to put this up on the screen for folks when
I will.
When we cut the video, but here's the way you broke it down.
Which there is one situation in which I would probably take it back the way I seated it. I didn't fully think it through, but continue.
Okay, well, you can correct me here.
Yeah.
So the version that you sent me earlier was
right.
With those matchups in mind, where would you tweak it if this is like your last chance to do so?
I would flop Texas Tech and Alabama. I would make Tech the 11, Alabama the 10.
Okay.
Just so that would be the third in my season. That would be the third matchup between Houston and Texas Tech, which I think we would avoid.
We can do that. We can make that change now.
Yes, thank you.
Can't make that change tomorrow. We can make the change today.
Mm-hmm. It's fine. You can put up what we're talking. I'll put up what we're talking about in earnest. Continue.
My seeding is similar enough. Obviously not exactly the same. I've also got Notre Dame at 1. I've got your Oregon Ducks at 2. Georgia at 3. Miami at 4.
So you have Oregon winning the Big Ten.
I do.
Okay.
Then I've got the 5-12, Ohio State playing host to New Mexico. I've got the 6 seed Texas Tech playing host to Alabama, the 11. I've got the 7 Texas playing host to the 10 Texas A&M in a rematch of that rivalry, which would be very spicy.
Yeah.
And then I've got maybe the spiciest first-round matchup of them all, the number 8 seed Indiana playing host to number 9 LSU and Lane Kiffin. Signetti against Kiffin?
Can't
would
wait.
Be friggin' awesome.
I would watch.
Hemmed and hawed over this. Like, it's impossible to put seating next to any of these right now.
I started hemming, but I didn't fully haw because I almost felt like the more I worked, although I did screw up the Houston, Texas Tech thing, the more I worked, the wronger I would be.
Yeah.
So I was just like, all right, I'm just spilling it all from my gut and we'll see what happens.
The team that really gave me the most trouble was Texas Tech.
Yeah.
I really struggled with where do I put these guys? I wanted them in my playoff. I picked them to win the Big 12. And I think initially I had them maybe down on like that 8 line. Then I bumped them up to the 7. Then I looked at it again and I said, nah, I'm going to bump them all the way up to the 6. I feel like there's a lot of variability there. And it's not because of the Tommy Castellanos thing, which is still taking shape. And if he does sign on to be part of the Red Raiders this year, probably as a QB2, but also maybe playing some other positions, just TBD on what that looks like. But that was not the reason I shifted them around. I just frankly don't know what to make of that quarterback situation. I think they're going to be really good, especially on defense, especially running the football. But the quarterback question to me is like the limiter. And though I like the best of Will Hammond, I don't know how much we're going to get of that this season now if he's playing the full year through. Yeah. So I struggled with them mightily.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see because of the teams that you have in here. So as at-large teams. So, you have your 4 bye teams, but of your at-large teams, so Texas, Texas A&M, Texas Tech, Alabama, Ohio State, LSU, Indiana. Only Indiana has a extremely weak non-conference schedule, right? So of the games that they can control, like LSU plays Clemson, Texas and Ohio State play each other, Texas A&M plays Arizona State, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Right.
We'll see whatever Florida State is, but that's like legit scheduling from Alabama.
Sure.
And yeah, I mentioned Ohio State and LSU as Clemson. So I wonder, especially with the SEC going to 9 games, that resume-wise, I wonder to what degree Indiana and Texas Tech, depending on what they actually do in conference with the best teams that they play, especially Indiana, has, I think, a tougher schedule in conference than Texas Tech does. I wonder what the resume and the voting looks like with those teams when you start comparing against teams that have scheduled a little bit more aggressively.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on Texas Tech to win their conference, but again, remember they changed up the seeding a year ago.
That's true. So, you have them winning, but yeah, the seeding is different.
The seeding is different now, right? That's how you can get Notre Dame as your 1 seed. It's no longer tied directly to whether or not you win your conference.
Yep.
So we're not that far off. We've got a few, I think, key differences. I would say the other team that I really struggled with trying to figure out where they belong in terms of seeding was Ohio State. And I knew it was going to be in the top 6. I didn't think I could go any lower than that. And if you go back and listen to the Big Ten Part 1 preview we did, I've got Oregon beating Ohio State. But Ohio State also has a really tough schedule, right? Ohio State's got Texas.
Man.
Yeah, I mean, Texas week 2. They do have games against other, high-profile Big Ten opponents, to say the absolute very least. So it's going to be a tough ask for them this year. It's not exactly a schedule that we look at and we say it's going to be smooth sailing, even though we think pretty highly of Ohio State. So I kind of went back and forth on how high I should put them, but I gave them that 5 spot against the the number 12 New Mexico.
In this universe, as we both have Notre Dame as the one, do we have them running the table?
No.
11-1 with a loss.
Oh,
2.
you mean regular season? Yes.
Regular season. So
yes.
getting to 1, they're there as like the clean number 1 team in the country at 12-0. Obviously, not playing a 13th game. That's how we lock them in.
I didn't want to be too confident about that because, as I said at the top, this is kind of a pointless exercise to begin with, right?
Yeah.
But it's kind of a catastrophe if they don't at least find their way into this thing.
Agree. It's a failure of a season if they're not in the playoff.
It is an absolute failure.
Yeah.
If they don't make the playoff, it's probably a failure to a degree if they don't make the Final Four.
Or like CJ Carr, knock on wood, but doesn't,
Right.
Finish the season. Obviously wanting to.
Barring
That
injury.
kind of thing. Yeah.
Barring injury, I think it would be an unmitigated failure for them to not get into the playoff and maybe make the Final Four.
Yes.
But with regards to the regular season, yeah, I think at least on paper, the toughest game that they're going to have all year is going to be that monster weekend, first weekend in November, week 10 against Miami when Miami comes to town. I think right now they're better than Miami, but reserve the right to change my mind.
Sure.
I think they're better than Wisconsin in week 1. I think they're better than BYU in week 7 whenever they play in the middle of October, even though that game's in Provo. They've got a game at the end of the year in November where they're playing against SMU.
Tough. Yeah.
Which I think will be a tough opponent, but those are basically the 4 games that you got to watch out for, and the rest they should be putting up like 40 points.
Agree. Fully agree. That's why I have them there.
Yeah. Okay. Dan Rubenstein, I want you to talk me through your first couple rounds here. 5-12, you've got Texas against Boise State. I'm assuming you're going to go Texas.
I'm going Texas, setting up Oregon, Texas in the next round. Yes.
6-11, you've got, I guess in this case, Miami against Texas Tech now?
Yes. Miami.
Miami gets through. Okay.
Yes.
7 against 10 would be the number 7 Houston playing host to the number 10 Alabama, correct?
Yes. Alabama through.
And then the 8-9 would be Indiana against Oklahoma. Indiana at home.
Indiana through.
Wow. Okay. Oregon against Texas.
Oregon through.
Georgia against Miami.
Georgia through.
Alabama against Ohio State. Ooh, that's tasty.
Ohio State through.
Notre Dame against Indiana.
Notre Dame through.
Was there a little bit of a recoil there? I heard
Yes.
a recoil.
Yes.
Why? Why the recoil?
I have at the moment, as of August 24th, is that today? Josh Hoover throwing into the Oklahoma and Notre Dame defenses consecutively and coming out clean and alive. I got to see it before I believe it.
Oregon over Texas would be a fun matchup.
Huge.
And
could be the first
I
2
think-
picks in the draft and at quarterback. Yeah.
And I think from a narrative standpoint, if you go back to our Q&A episode, I think we brought this up. I know others have as well. Oregon and Texas, like the expectation is national championship this year.
Yes.
So them playing each other in the quarterfinals there won't be any shortage of interest in a game like that.
No. It would be huge. It would be enormous. I don't know where that game would be played, but an astronomical matchup.
Yeah. All right. Let me give you my first 2 rounds here.
Okay.
my first round. I've got Indiana over LSU.
Okay.
I've got Ohio State over New Mexico.
Whoa.
I've got Alabama over Texas Tech.
Okay.
And I've got Texas over Oregon. So what's interesting is even though we seeded differently, I'm also going to have an Oregon-Texas matchup on my side.
Okay. So you have Texas over Oregon in the quarters.
No, I'm saying I have Texas over Texas A&M
Oh, right.
Putting Texas into a matchup with Oregon. Okay.
But
so my next round then looks like this. I've got Notre Dame over Indiana.
Yeah.
I've got Ohio State over Miami. I've got Alabama over Georgia.
Okay.
And I've got Oregon over Texas.
Oregon over Texas. So it was Texas playing Oregon. Okay.
Yes, sir. Which brings us then to our Final Four. For me, that is Notre Dame against Ohio State, Oregon against Alabama. And for you, let me pull yours up here.
Yep.
We've got Notre Dame against Oregon. Oh, my God. We've got Ohio State against Georgia.
Georgia, yeah, chalk.
Wow. So now what are the rules around a Notre Dame-Oregon semifinal game? Like, do we end the podcast after somebody wins that game, or do they need to go on to win the national championship?
Oh, good question. Well, we have to go, right? That's the rule?
I think if they play, they have not played in the entire span of time we've been doing this show.
Yeah.
So, yes, if they play, we got to find a way to that game.
We went to, well, we didn't go to the initial Oregon-Penn State game in the Big Ten championship game 2 years ago, but we did go to the whiteout together last season. Your alma mater.
Right.
So I think we would have to go. I think we would have to find a way. What are the...
We'll hitchhike. We'll do whatever we got to do to get there, yeah.
What are the... Okay, college football playoff locations 2027? That's what we're talking about at this point?
Man, with how long this calendar is running, it might be 2028, but start with 27.
So 2027, the semifinal locations appear to be the... Oh my God, this graphic is truly terrible from the college football playoff. I'm going to have to read it. So it's the Orange Bowl and the Sugar Bowl.
Okay.
So we would be in either the greater Miami area or New Orleans for one of these games. Okay? Doable?
Ohio State, Georgia.
Ohio State.
We're recording this on August the 24th. Why Ohio State?
Quarterback, time for defense, and when I sort of sit down and I close my eyes and I do deep breathing and I have the visions come to me over and over. It's Laura Rutledge telling me about how teams can't surf. They're so gassed.
Yeah. Going
through that SEC gauntlet. And so Ohio State playing nobody all season long other than that one Texas game.
Sure.
Because it's an SEC team. It's a cakewalk is what the visions are telling me. The spirits, our elders that are communicating to me in my meditations. So I'm going.
Do you have
Ohio
a lot
State
of that
there.
when you're thinking college football? Do you get like the ghosts of, like Beano Cook and such?
Keith
that
Jackson,
sort of like
sure.
speaking to you and
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
loud and clear, crystal clear, Ty. 192 kilobytes per second.
that's good.
Yeah.
I appreciate
That's
that.
clear, right? 192? It's high quality.
clear.
I don't, it depends on the microphone and it depends on the room,
Yeah.
but yeah.
You don't need something like that for a podcast. Some
No.
people try that.
But
You
I'm
don't-
saying
you don't
it's
need that
so
much.
clear
Yeah.
that it's coming in at a robust 192.
You can deal with 128. 128's okay.
I totally agree.
Notre Dame against Oregon.
Yeah. Who do I have winning? Oregon.
Big surprise.
It is a big surprise. Nobody has taken the last 2 years harder than I have. Okay, so the thing that I think that the separator in this case, and this is not an unimpeachable take, is some of Notre Dame hasn't been here before. Now, obviously, they were in the championship game a couple seasons ago, but the roster has turned over, whereas Oregon has had a lot of these guys the past 2 years in the playoff. Fact check, Notre Dame did not end up in the postseason last year of any kind.
Correct.
So if we are looking at growth and we are looking at Oregon's trajectory, the trajectory is now get blown out in the championship game, get blown out in the quarters, get blown out in the semis.
Right.
And we only have seen Oregon lose to teams who are competing for or winning national championships. And so I guess that could be Notre Dame in this scenario, that Notre Dame goes on to win or compete for the national championship, obviously, in the semis. But if I'm going with the trends suggest growth, and given that Oregon has a little bit more to me in terms of ways to win and dependability and experience at some skill positions on offense. Now, you're counting on a lot of things. Oregon going this deep and having like a healthy Evan Stewart, certainly.
Yeah,
right. That's you gotta sort of suspend recent history to believe in something like that, and hopefully, knock on wood, as an Oregon fan, we do get to see that. But that, I think, might be the differentiator, that Oregon has more guys who are more seasoned with the going deep in the playoff.
I think it's a fair take. I do.
But I think these are two excellent teams.
Two excellent teams, a completely fair take. Again, a completely ridiculous exercise that we're going through here, but this is where we're at. We got to do it. One show left to do, right? All right. So you've got Oregon against Ohio State in your national championship.
Yes.
Okay. We'll come back to that in a second.
Yep.
On my end, I am taking Ohio State over Notre Dame, and I am taking your Oregon Ducks over the Alabama Crimson Tide.
Yep.
Which means that we have the same national championship game, don't we?
No, you're saying Notre Dame, Oregon.
No, I'm saying Ohio State over Oregon.
Oh, you're saying
Ohio State over Notre Dame. Yeah.
Ohio State over NotreAme, so we have the same national championship game. We have different semis. Yes.
My thought on the Ohio State Notre Dame thing is I am still completely terrified of the Julian Sayin to Jeremiah Smith connection, as everybody should be. I am also concerned that Ohio State can win a variety of different ways on offense, in particular with Arthur Smith in there. And I know there are some questions about whether they can pull this off, but if they're able to establish a little bit more bully ball, you think of how dangerous that makes an offense like Ohio State's, right? Where they can do the ground and pound if they have to.
Yeah.
They can run play action off of that. They can obviously stretch the field with the likes of Jeremiah Smith or whoever else in that receiving core. The question for Ohio State obviously is defense, but my hunch is by the time we get to a potential matchup like this, all those questions go out the window. You know who your guys are.
Yeah.
Matt Patricia already proved it once that he can build the defense in very short order. I think he'll be able to do it again here with Ohio State. So I like the Buckeyes a lot. There's a reason why we both voted them number one overall in our AP Top 25 ballot. And, I'm excited to see what they look like coming this season. Obviously, I would be rooting for Notre Dame in a matchup like this, but I think there's a really strong case made over Ohio State. Two excellent football teams. I could probably make just as strong a case for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
But gun to my head right now, August the 24th, I probably would go Ohio State in a matchup like this.
Okay.
And the Oregon-Alabama thing, I think Alabama of the teams that I have in my field is the one that I am taking the biggest risk with, because I've got them as an 11. I've got them beating Texas Tech.
Yeah.
Which I think is a decent enough matchup for them, but a lot needs to come together. I also have them beating Georgia, which would obviously be a hotly contested battle between two SEC teams. But if Keelan Russell hits the way I think he's going to hit, I think it stands to reason they could get into the semifinal matchup, but Oregon's a better team.
Okay.
Oregon's a better team. So we both have Oregon, Ohio State.
Both have Oregon, Ohio State.
Which we did not plan. We do not script this. We do have a common sheet just so we know where we're going next. But nowhere in here is it scripted that we both had Oregon and Ohio State.
Correct.
So let me ask you this then. Would this be like the third time these teams played this season?
I think potentially, yes.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. It is pretty wild. We've had weird repeat rerun situations. I don't think we've ever had a third matchup in a national championship game.
No.
But we haven't had a lot of things that college football is offering us up in 2026 / I guess in this situation 2027. So I'm going to say screw it, that this is what happens.
Where's your head at with an Ohio State-Oregon three-peat, if that's what we get?
So who wins this game?
No.
So, okay, previewing a game in which I've seen none of their previous, 14 or 15.
Again, ridiculous exercise.
Yes.
So I'm not going to hold you too much to this. I know people will.
Right.
And that's part of the fun, and that's the game. This is what this whole thing's about. But
Right.
I won't think any less of you one way or another, Dan.
Ty, with an eye on Dan Gagement, with Indiana fans still reminding me that I said Indiana didn't have that many starters who would actually play for Oregon last season. still stocking up, filling up those YouTube comments.
They're still commenting on that, by the way.
I love it. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
With an eye on Dan Gagement, I'm going to take the Oregon Ducks to win the 2026-2027 national championship. It's, a lot is going to depend on a million different lucky factors, health being probably the biggest, and what their paths look like within the college football playoff to get to this point. We have two separate ones, but I'm going to say there is something, and we've seen this across many different sports, about the experience of being there. And with Oregon bringing back its defensive line, like Ohio State themselves did a couple of years ago, with having the number of starts at quarterback. Now, Julian's saying will be well seasoned by this time, of course, but Dante Moore a little bit more seasoning. We saw it with Will Howard. We saw it with Fernando Mendoza. Like in this new era, these things tend to matter. That Oregon, if they don't shoot themselves in the genitals on a stage this large, that if they're not down 14-0 after 3 minutes or something, that I think that they are better built in this moment to win it. And now, am I saying that so somebody can roll this back when they lose to, Texas or something in the first round? Sure, certainly. We'll repost it.
Yep.
But sort of the business of content aside, I do believe this is an Oregon team, when healthy, that is one that has enough to hold up the hardware. And there are enough game changers on both sides of the ball. There's enough speed, there's enough power, there's enough depth, that they're loaded at enough positions that they can weather some injuries, which has, been the story. Last time Oregon's in the national championship game, they were down offensive linemen and receivers and guys on defense, and it was very obvious that they did not have the roster or the know-how to compete against Ohio State at the conclusion of the 2014 season. I just think this is a ridiculously talented team. And eventually, somebody gets their time. Eventually.
Yeah.
And I think this year is Oregon's.
Well, what's kind of crazy about the matchup, and again, we both have the same one, Ohio State against Oregon would guarantee that a Big Ten team wins for the fourth consecutive year.
Yeah,
which would clearly be a broader story in the world of college football, just in terms of where's the center of gravity within college football right now, and the Big Ten would obviously champion having a fourth straight year. But
God, it would be a fourth straight game day set / off season of Nick Saban being the butt king, right? Nick Saban, capital B, butt, capital K, king, right? That yes, you have to hand it to the Big Ten and these excellent teams, but I still feel like the SEC show that they have the teams. Yeah.
I've also got Oregon over Ohio State.
Woo!
Okay. You got to go with me on a journey.
Let's go on this journey together.
If you've made it 40 some odd, whatever it is, through this episode, you're already with us on a journey. Don't hold me too closely to this, but my thinking was if Notre Dame and Ohio State are playing each other, that's going to be a bare-knuckled brawl. That is going to be a tough matchup one way or another. Not to say Oregon against Alabama on my bracket would be any easier, but I just feel like the contest between a Notre Dame and Ohio State we would see it all hanging out. By the time Ohio State gets into that matchup with Oregon, they will have had plenty of rest, but it will be a situation in which Ohio State is coming off an emotional victory. And Oregon will have seen Ohio State. Again, on my side of the bracket, this would be the third time.
Yeah.
I like the chances there. I still think Oregon, even if they don't have the highest ceiling roster in college football, I think it's the most well-balanced roster
Okay.
in college football from the top on down, from quarterback all the way through what they've got on defense. There aren't a whole lot of holes there. That's true for most of the teams that we have making it this far, granted.
Yeah.
But I stand by what I said when I've done these previews now. I think Oregon's got the most balanced roster of any team in college football. They've got really good depth. Provided they make this stage in the tournament, I like their chances to obviously go pretty far, but knock off Ohio State.
Yeah.
Finally get the monkey off of Dan Lanning's back.
Okay, here's the thing. As an Oregon fan, as an Oregon alum, it does hurt me to make a pick like this. But also, if you're going to love, you got to know that you have the potential, you have the possibility in the back of your mind that you could get hurt. So I'm willing to love, Ty. That's what I'm saying here. Right here, right now, I'm ready to be hurt again, officially. It didn't really strike me until like 3 or 4 days ago. I was protecting myself, Ty. But that's no way to love. That is just no way to love, Ty. And so I love college football. This is who I'm picking. I encourage you to clip these clips.
Don't
when
tell them
it all goes
Don't tell
awry.
them this.
I need that engagement, Ty. I need it. I'm addicted to it. I crave it. I thirst. I yearn. But yeah, that's the pick. I'm not doing that for a content reason. But yeah, that's if Oregon's roster situation were wearing Texas uniforms or Ohio State uniforms or Florida uniforms or Pitt uniforms or whatever, I think that's what I would go with. I think I'm going into this like Ty's rods and cones as colorblind as possible.
Well, and look, I kind of did the same thing.
Not fully, of course, but yes.
No. I was looking at roster quality.
Yeah.
And that's really all we have to go on right now. Roster quality.
Sure.
I mean, you could project out schedules and things of that nature, but who do we think's got the best roster? I think Oregon's got the best roster. So for me, it was a relatively straightforward. Obviously, there's, some other voodoo that goes into it, but okay, so we're unanimous on the Oregon side. I want to do a rapid fire thing here very quickly.
By the way, they also hit my quarterback and defense thing. That there is a universe in which they have one of the best 5 quarterbacks in America and one of the best 5 to 12 defenses. Certainly one of the best 2 or 3 defensive lines in the country.
I think I'm with you.
Yeah. So that
Absolutely.
It does check those boxes. And so if I'm going to claim that all these times, all these years, that does, clear the bar.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do a rapid fire in a second.
Please.
Before I get there, solidverbal@gmail.com is where you can go via your email. You just can't go there, but call it up on email. Send us a note. Let us know what your bracket looks like. Let us know your national championship picks. As I like to say, don't be a dick. This is an impossible exercise.
Yeah.
We have to do it. It's fun to do it.
It's okay.
It's fun to theorize what this could look like 8 months into the future or whatever it is. But let us know your thoughts. We'd love to hear it.
If you're going to be a dick, be funny about it.
Be funny about it. Be funny about it. That we will accept.
Give me a wink and smile. Yeah.
That we will accept. Okay.
Yeah.
Secondly, we said it at the very top. I'm going to say it again here.
Yeah.
Verballers.com. VERBALLERS.com. I'm going to keep talking this up over the next couple of weeks, probably throughout the course of the year. We are an independent entity, Dan Rubenstein.
True.
We need your support in order to keep the lights on, quite literally. So, verballers.com is the best way you can do that. If you do sign up to support the show, you not only get bonus access to, stuff that doesn't drop to the public feed, you also get ad-free episodes that drop a little bit early, Discord access. You can vote in all the polls, play all the games, and just be part of the general community. It goes a tremendously good ways for us to keep the lights on here. I cannot emphasize that enough.
Yes.
We would encourage everybody, if you are just a fan of what we do, at least check it out. Even if you don't follow through, it's cool. Verballers.com. If nothing more, if you made it this far, rate, review, and subscribe.
Yeah.
This is the time of year when people are looking for these types of shows. And there are a lot of people out there who don't know about us yet, even though we've been around forever.
Unbelievable.
A lot of people out there still don't know about us. So as an independent entity, we rely on our community to help propel us forward, and this is one way you can help do that. So rate, review, subscribe if you've yet to do so.
Look, Ty, it's not just this episode, a predictions episode. I think it's pretty clear we're dumb, right? I think over the years, I think we've proven that to be the case. But I will say, in terms of supporting the show, there aren't many who are more courageously dumb than Ty and me. Me? Myself? I don't know. I think it's...
See, we've come so far now on this grammar journey.
Than we are. How about that? There are not many who are more courageously dumb than we are courageously.
We have gone so far down this
I know.
grammar journey pathway that I think you are now starting to question
100%.
some of the rules you tried to explain to me earlier in the year.
Yeah, well, I can't get them wrong, Ty.
The pressure.
I know, it is a lot of pressure.
Suffocating.
So, I'm just going to say that we have the courage to put out our wrong picks out there in August. Because a lot of people will come through and say, like, look at these dumb picks. But they don't post theirs, Ty.
No.
We're out here with high-quality equipment saying, here are all of our wrong picks ahead of the season. And you got to reward that kind of courage, Ty. You just have to.
All right. I've got 3 rapid-fire questions for you.
Okay.
Question number 1. I'm looking at your bracket.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Texas Tech, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Boise State as your 4 teams in the first round that are playing road games.
Yes.
Of those teams, which do you feel most confident about being in the playoff?
Texas Tech, Alabama, Boise, and Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Texas Tech.
Okay. Of the playoff picks that you made here today, which do you feel you will regret the most when we have this conversation again at the end of January?
Maybe Oklahoma.
Getting in?
Oklahoma getting in, just because they're in that mess of my second tier in the SEC. And at the same time, on one hand, I do believe winning is a skill. But on the other hand, that like stretch run of results, and Bill Connolly highlighted this a little bit on social media last week, that they had like a 2.5% chance of going through the Tennessee, Alabama, Mizzou, LSU run unscathed, and they made it happen. I think they're going to grow and develop into something better this year, but I think there is a chance that their offense is still average or below average, and it's just not a tightrope walk that one can successfully pull off every season. So that paired with, if they're an at-large team and they're traveling to Ann Arbor, right, that there is potentially a non-conference loss on this schedule already that might be tough to bounce back from.
My third and final question for you, and then I'll answer the same.
Yes.
Just from a personal standpoint, because there is at least a little bit of ego that goes into this.
Yeah.
If we have the same conversation at the end of January, and on one hand, you've got a correct prediction that Oregon made the national championship and won.
Yeah.
On the other, you've got something, comparatively speaking, not as exciting, but Houston winning the Big 12 and getting into the playoff.
Yeah.
Your team winning a national championship, or a bit of a dark horse pick in Houston making it through and getting into this field at all. Which one of those 2 picks is something that you would put up on the wall?
So the Houston pick is a little bit more courageous and out there. So that would be something that like I'm sort of riding alone with. That's
correct.
My own personal Dan Rubenstein Zag flag that's flying over my house. Or Oregon's winning the national championship, and it's not that courageous to say Oregon's winning the national championship this season.
But it is your school, which is why I bring it up.
So what would I be more prouder about predicting?
Yeah.
It's a great question, Ty. I'm going to say the Houston thing.
I kind of feel like if I were you, I would say Houston as well.
Yeah. And now that doesn't make us any more money.
No.
But maybe Willie Fritz invites us to town and we can have some Viet Cajun food or something. Maybe we become local heroes. And we have to sit in a lot of traffic, mind you, but in the greater Houston area. No, I think that's a little bit more fulfilling, but like that's also a guess. That's not also something that like I've crunched the numbers and I see an inefficiency in the Big 12 that Houston can exploit. No, I think Houston's good. I think their schedule's good. You know, Connor Wigman needs to stay healthy. The transfers need to pop, especially on defense. Yeah, it's not especially interesting to say Oregon's going to win the national championship this year, but it would be fun to clip this clip about Oregon winning it all and post it back then. But I got a lot of receipts, Ty, to get out to the world, and I'm wrong about so much that I can't do too many victory laps. So yeah, the Houston thing would be a more isolated, fun thing.
So for me, of the 9, 10, 11, and 12 seeds, for me it was LSU, A&M, Alabama, and New Mexico. I think A&M's probably the one I'm least confident in, not because I don't think they're a good team,
right?
But it's because I was jostling back and forth between Oklahoma and Ole Miss for that spot instead. And that's a tough one for me. That's a tough one for me to determine who I think is going through. I think there are 3 really good teams, but ultimately I gave the nod to A&M. So that one to me, I'd probably be least confident in that. In terms of the picks that I regret the most or potentially regret the most, it's clearly Ohio State over Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Because if I have the opportunity to root for the team I have cheered on since I was a wee lad and I decide that I'm picking the other team instead, if that comes to fruition, yes, I will regret that pick. Or if I don't pick Notre Dame as I'm not today, I'll end up regretting that pick. That's kind of an easy one for me. And I guess the counter to this would be if, let's say, Notre Dame ends up winning the national championship versus, let's say, New Mexico making it in as the G6. I kind of feel, I mean, I didn't pick Notre Dame to win the national championship, but I would still be proud as a fan. I feel like correctly guessing the G6 team this year is especially difficult.
Agree.
And I spent an inordinate amount of time trying to figure out who do I think is actually going to be that team, because I was going back and forth between New Mexico and Boise. I looked at UNLV. I looked at Fresno. I considered UTSA. I considered Navy. I had a bigger list of teams that I whittled down to those 6. And it took me a while to eventually arrive at New Mexico. And so I just feel like with the level of elbow grease that went in there are a lot of people picking Notre Dame to win the national championship to go pretty far. That's not exactly an adventurous pick.
Right.
But I feel like you could get yourself into trouble going off the reservation with a collection of different G6 teams. And I went with New Mexico. So if they were to make it in,
by the way,
even if everything else bottoms out, I'll be pretty excited about the Lobos.
Sidebar on that, if Notre Dame ends up as the 5 seed and gets New Mexico and Jason Eck in the first round, Ty will not sleep for 2 weeks, friends. With Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman's specific history, not that Notre Dame would overlook New Mexico in the college football playoff, but with Jason Eck as like potential giant killer, especially if New Mexico rides into the playoff having like an Oklahoma win on their resume, which they probably won't, but there is a universe in which that happens.
There's a universe. Yeah, there is.
And just New Mexico throwing like all of the ephuses, the EPHI at Notre Dame in that opening round matchup. Ty will talk himself into that being extremely dangerous for 2 consecutive weeks.
I will. I definitely will.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Look, glad we finally got this out of the way. We've been sitting on this for a while.
Yeah.
Now we can go forth and prosper. We can actually talk about upcoming matchups on our next episode. We'll do our week 0 preview. We'll also touch base on some of the other news subjects that are floating around college football. Quarterback battles, injuries, some of the weirdness going on with eligibility. We'll do our part to try and get you caught up on all of those things and make some picks in advance of week 0. We will not be doing the Saturday night live stream. There just aren't enough games to support it this coming weekend, but we'll definitely have something for you on Sunday. We'll figure out what that is. And then as we go into next week in advance of week 1, that's when we'll really turn the Jets on. That's when everything starts up. But it's here, man. It's game week. We made it.
Do we still own smelltieshair.com? What is the link that we were giving out to people to remember for the Saturday night live streams?
We do. Well, we have all of them, I think. We do have Smell Ties Hair.
Okay.
Yeah, we have Smell Ties Hair. We have Brocktober. We have Cocktober now as well. I have to check and see. Our domain budget is just way out of whack here. We're going to have to do something about it this year.
We got to scale it back.
Dan, this was fun. You are, as ever, a gentleman. It is a pleasure to be on this show here with you. I am excited for another season.
Same. Can't wait.
For that guy over there, Dan, for myself over here, Ty, thank you for downloading, listening, supporting. Check us out at forballers.com. We'll be back in a few short days, few short hours.
Yeah.
Stay solid.
Peace. Thanks for watching, and thank you for at least considering subscribing to the channel. It means a ton.